I'll come on back here. Ain't gonna do all that. Easy, easy. Chew on the bottom hook. Graft told off on you. I've never caught you without it. Hey, you know, there's no doubt about it. The electronic age is here, and it's here to stay. Without question, the depth sounder, the fish finder, the liquid crystal graph, and even the paper graph is as much a part of fishing today as the outboard that powers your boat. And one of the pioneers of this modern technology is Darrell Lowrance, president of Lowrance and Eagle Electronics of Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's not only an electronic wizard, a great fisherman, a super nice guy, he's a very dear and close friend. Darrell has been responsible for helping many an angler win big money in the national bass tournaments by manufacturing the product they used to locate that underwater hideaway where the largemouth bass lives. He's also helped many a crappie fisherman find that submerged treetop or stump where these fish reside. And how about the angler in the Great Lakes that he's helped zero in on that submerged school of walleye, salmon, or trout? And of course, there's the charter boat captain in salt water. He's helped to pinpoint that old shipwreck 200 feet deep, miles and miles away from shore. I, for one, can vouch about his product. I've used them, well, for almost 20 years now, and I rely on them every time I go to the water, and I find them to play as much a part of my fishing as I do any of my equipment. Today, you'll see just how important just one of his units can be in finding and locating the structure where our little buddy, the crappie, lives during the cold winter months here in Tishomingo County in northeast Mississippi on Bay Springs Lake. In this clear water environment, they live deep in depths of 20 to 30 feet and will remain this deep until the warm water temperatures arrive sometime in mid to late March in this part of the country. The water now, it's cold, with a surface temperature showing a chilly 50 to 51 degrees. And although the crappie is a cold water fish, he too will slow down and become inactive when the liquid whirl of his becomes frigid. And this is when the approach we're using today really pays off. Now let me show you the depth and cover these fish are using. Here we see the depth that these crappie are using. Depths of anywhere from about 22 to 25 feet. And the type cover they're using is stumps. Now most of the stumps in this area are holding anywhere from 1 to 3 fish. And without question, in this cold water, the best technique to catch them is tight lining for them. Now by vertical fishing, I can keep my jigs in one place, the strike zone, for a much longer time than I can, let's say, by casting out to them. Now the fish being inactive, this method will produce when others fail. With the help of my trolling motor right here and my graph right there, what I can do, I can keep the bow of my boat almost directly over the cover and fish every inch of it. All I'm going to do is ease up when I see the stump on my unit. I'm going to let the boat ease back just a little bit, keeping the bow into the wind. I'm going to let it drift back just a little bit where I can work that jig all around that stump. And I know that I'm directly over the top of it. Now this area is literally infested with stumps. And with the aid of my graph, all I'm doing is fishing one and then moving around till I locate another one, which isn't very hard to do since so many blanket the floor of this area. Golly. That's not a pretty one right there. Come on back. Dig, dig, come on. I'm going to turn you loose. You just come on in here and quit acting. Look, that's full of eggs. Look at that. I mean, full. You never got no. I know it. I'm gonna let you go. Look at that. Nice. You spawn. You gonna spawn. I don't guess a day goes by that I don't hear or have some fishermen ask me, are those depth sounders, those fish finders, all those electronic gadgets really worth having? Well, I tell you what, let's go straight to the horse's mouth and hear how he answers that.
Well, Bill, as you know, Lawrence built the first sports fishing sonars way back in the 50s. And though we've made tremendous strides in technology, from flashers to paper graphs to our latest state-of-the-art LCGs, we've always insisted our products do much more than just show depth. Our new fish finders not only provide accurate depth readings in water as shallow as 1 foot, they also display the actual bottom contour along with critical fish holding structure. And equally important, these easy-to-use sonars do a great job of showing suspended targets such as bait fish and game fish. For more productive fishing, as well as improved boating safety, a good fish finder is an absolute must these days, Bill.
I couldn't agree more, Darrell, and I'll tell anyone flat out, without one on my boat, like now, for instance, I'd have a major problem. Here we go. I'd have a major, ooh, look at here. Another big old white one. Come on back here. Yeah, he's starting out. Easy. Nice fish. Hey, I'm gonna let you go. You put that hook in my finger, and I promise you, he swallowed it. That not nice. That big. See ya. You better go on now. All right. What was I talking about a minute ago? Oh, yeah. Get these things all screwed up. As I was saying a minute ago, without a graph on my boat, I'd have a major problem locating these stumps and the fish that I'm catching off of them. What makes this type fishing much easier is having the unit mounted on the bow of my boat and the transducer mounted to the bottom of the trolling motor. This way I can stay in the same place even if there's a breeze or a current. Boat position can become very critical when these conditions exist. So this is why it's always best to point your bow into the wind. Uh-oh, look at here. That is a lot of fish right there, my boy. Woo-wee. That's going to get me down. Right here. Oh, look at him. He's got every hook in him. Hung in him. Look at that. Easy. Easy. Oh. Nah. Well, I'll tell you, you can't get it better than that. You can't get it better than that. Anytime you're fishing like this, it's always best to use the gray line feature on your unit. Now this is a very important function. What it does, it helps to separate the strong and the weak echoes. Wait a minute. For me to tell you about it, it'd take 30 minutes. My daddy used to tell me I was vaccinated with a phonograph needle. So I'm going to let the guy who built the product tell you about it.
Bill, gray line is an exclusive feature on many of our fish finders that in effect paints a gray pattern on stronger targets. The feature is extremely helpful to anglers who enjoy fishing bottom structures such as trees, brush, or weed beds. Gray line actually helps them distinguish a structure located on or near the bottom from the true lake bottom. The feature works equally well on larger suspended targets. For example, high concentrations of bait fish will often gray line, and it's not unusual to see large individual game fish gray lining. The feature also helps locate fish suspended near the bottom, making it much easier to separate the fish from the actual lake bottom. Finally, Bill, gray line even allows you to tell the difference between hard and soft lake bottoms. A soft, muddy bottom returns a weaker signal, producing a narrow gray line. On the other hand, a hard, rocky bottom returns a much stronger signal, which creates a wide gray line. Well, that's about it on gray line. Let's get back to you, Bill, and see how the fishing's going.
Pop, there he is. Come on in here. Come on, come on, come on. Oh boy, look right here. Look up here. Oh, easy, easy, easy. Thing looks like a big old drum, but it ain't no drum. Oh, look. Come here. Hard pulling big thing. You're fighting down there deep. Come here. Easy. Can you believe that? Come here. Boy, is that not nice? Check you later, Gator. That'll spawn in about another month. Daryl, since you're so good at answering these questions, how about telling our viewers a little bit about the importance of transducer cone angle as it relates to crappie fishing?
Bill, cone angle and underwater coverage are extremely important factors to most types of fishing. We have a general rule we use when talking to freshwater anglers, especially shallow water crappie fishermen. It's simply this: the wider your transducer cone angle, the wider the bottom coverage, and the better your chances of locating structure and fish. For example, a 1-inch 20-degree transducer element produces over twice the bottom width coverage of a 2-inch 8-degree transducer element. And that's true at any depth up to about 300 feet in fresh water. That's why our Eagle fish finders all come with a 1-inch 20-degree wide-angle high-speed skimmer transducer in the box. Of course, for special applications, our customers can select from a variety of fully interchangeable transducers. There's one thing for certain, Bill. If crappie fishermen can't see fish holding structure, or concentrations of bait or individual game fish as a result of limited transducer coverage, then they probably aren't going to catch as many fish.
See how easy it is to understand when he explains it? Here we go. When he explains it. Whoa. Back around this way. Easy, easy, easy. Does it? That. Time to say bye. And another one goes down to spawn. You know, another 3 or 4 or 5 degrees, those fish will really start coming up. A lot of them will. And they'll start getting that pre-spawn stage about 55 to 56 degrees. Okay, tell you something else. Let me show you, or let's spend a second, and let me show you the rig that I'm using. I've got a 1/4 ounce bell weight on the bottom of my line, mainly for feel, and to get the bait down. 12 to 14 inches above that, I've tied a drop loop with a 1/16 ounce Mini King jig. 12 to 14 inches above that, I have another jig tied. It is possible to catch 2 fish at one time, but the real purpose of this double hooked rig is to present the bait at 2 different depth levels. Whether the fish are holding tight or slightly suspended above it, I've got both areas covered. And since crappie feed in a upward position, this rig gives me much more of an edge. Come on, hit it. I know you're down there. I can see you. You know, just because you see them doesn't mean you're going to catch them. When fishing for crappie, like I'm doing today, in this 50+ degree water, I have much better success when I drag my jigs versus jigging them up and down. It gives the jig a much better swimming action. Here we go. Hit him. Well, that's a nice fish right there. Easy. He is thick. He should weigh over a pound. Okay. All right, another one gone. I'm sure most of us, and most of you, I should say, have heard the words television, cable vision, night vision, blurred vision, double vision. But how many of you have heard the word ultravision?
Hey, Bill, I'd like to answer that one.
Well, since you invented it, why not?
Bill, I think most avid fishermen will agree the best fish finder made is only as good as its display screen. After all, if you can't see the fish on your screen, then you'll probably never know what you didn't catch. Our exclusive Ultravision screen is the best in the business. It's a high-resolution, high-contrast display that offers unsurpassed visibility from virtually every viewing position in your boat. Ultravision combines brilliant blue pixels on a light green background. The result is an incredibly clear display that's easy to read in almost every lighting condition. And remember, when judging a sonar screen, it's important to see its performance out on the water, not just on a simulator in the showroom or from a simulated picture on the box. Successful fishermen have to be able to depend on their fish finders to locate key structure and fish in cloudy or bright weather, sometimes even at night. With an Ultravision screen, you can count on it. You'll see terrific underwater detail all the time.
Oh, me. That is some weight right there. Where are you, my boy? Good night, I reckon so. Now, brother, you talking about a good, look at here. Look at that fight. Come back. Whew. Don't get off. I just want to touch you, you big. Let me just get my thumb. You are conquered, my darling. Is that not a job right there? Oh, calm down. Isn't that nice? I mean, that is a nice one. All right, I'm going to turn you loose. Every one of them gets me down on my knees. But that ain't too bad. Well, today's been a highly enjoyable and productive one, and one we hope you've enjoyed and possibly learned another surefire method for catching crappie.
Bill, thanks a lot for having me on your show. I only wish I could be there fishing with you. Maybe next time. In the meantime, don't catch all of them.
I wish you could be here too, Darrell, but don't worry about me catching them all. There are thousands upon thousands of them here, and you know what? Most of them will go to bed tonight hungry. So come when you can, and when you do, we'll show you how the mighty eagle finds the cold water crappie.
Beautiful Pickwick Lake on the Tennessee River skirts the boundaries of 3 states, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Alabama. It has become known as one of the finest smallmouth fisheries in North America and the tail race waters below Pickwick Dam hold the largest concentrations of sauger to be found anywhere. But unknown to many, Pickwick also is virtually an untapped fishery when it comes to the tasty crappie. This pristine lady abounds in the popular specs, and this is just one of the many reasons why Bill Dance considers Pickwick his favorite lake. He grew up on its waters and now owns a second home on its shores. Today's guest, Roger Gant, shares in Bill's love of Pickwick, and naturally so. Roger is a native of the area, and when he could sneak away from his family's farming operation, he too learned much of what he knows about fishing while wetting a line here and in the maze of surrounding bottomlands. A few years ago, Roger parked his tractor and plow once and for all to climb aboard his fishing boat and guide fishing parties to earn a living. Today, he is considered to be one of the best crappie fishing guides in the country. It's only natural that Bill Dance and Roger Gant would meet someday, and meet they did. Since then, they've developed a strong friendship, and anytime their schedules permit, you'll find them sharing a boat together somewhere along this Tennessee River area that both call home. They continuously compare notes in their relentless search for bass, sauger, or crappie, and from time to time, they've been known to corral a catfish or two. Whatever their quarry, these two are going to have a great time regardless of the weather, time of day, or season of the year. They've braved the whims of Mother Nature on many a rainy night, as well as untold numbers of days when the mercury soared past 100, and others when the chill factor was well below zero. Today, these illustrious gents have teamed up once again to outwit some of Pickwick's tasty crappie. But they are moving about 20 minutes down the Tombigbee Waterway to a small timber-lined lake called Bay Springs that interconnects with the Pickwick system. Also, Bill has asked Roger to describe for you his very unusual method for catching deep water crappie, a tactic we've appropriately dubbed the Gant technique.
I'm sure you've heard me say quite often that confidence is the greatest lure in your tackle box, and this is a major part of Roger's success. He always displays extreme confidence, even when conditions aren't choice. But according to him, his unusual method, this odd sideways drifting technique, makes an even greater contribution. And after fishing with him so many times, I certainly wouldn't argue with his philosophy. You right, Tip? Pretty good one?
Yeah, it's a pretty good fish. Sure will.
He looks big. Of course, his rods make them look a lot bigger too.
Yeah, that's a good fish, I'll tell you.
Ooh, yeah, look at him.
Yep, that's a good fish. It sure is.
Ooh, buddy.
What do
Don't
you
let
think
him
of-
get off. Don't dare let him
What do
get
you think
off.
of that?
Get him, get him, get him, get him, get him.
Come here,
Boy,
buddy.
that one right there, he'll weigh 2 pounds.
All right.
Ooh, what a fish. Let me place him upon my
You
thumb.
want to hold that?
Yes, place him upon my thumb, my boy.
All right.
That is a nice.
That's the one I was looking for right
That
there.
fish will weigh 2 pounds as thick as he is.
Yeah, he'll weigh 2.
Ah, nice.
He will weigh 2.
Place you upon my thumb, my darling. As you can see, this method requires the use of a trolling motor installed on the side of the boat, approximately 1/3 from the stern. On the opposite side, 2 rods per person are set out, one at a 45 angle off each end of the boat. The rods are graphite, approximately 6.5 feet in length, with an extremely light action. The reels are ultralight spinning and bait casting and spooled with 8-pound test line. Each line holds 2 1/8 ounce mini king jigs, one tied at the bottom and another about 18 inches from the bottom. The toughest thing about this type of fishing is keeping the jigs just off the bottom. Like Roger says, it takes some getting used to. And if you don't keep them within 12 to 24 inches off of the bottom, you'll not be in the strike zone and you won't catch many fish. I'm going to tell you, it took me a long time to get the knack of this. It really did. And it's I don't mean to make it sound like it's complicated, but there's a little bit more goes into it than meets the eye. You don't just run out there and just throw out rods and start pulling. You got to set your depth right. You got to adjust your speed right. You got to create the right control.
Yeah, you're right about that. I tell you, it's very important. All the things that go together to do this, it takes a lot of preparation to do it. you gotta get that jig down there to the right place, and then you got to control the speed to keep it down there. Is what you got to do. There's a lot to it.
What are we running, about 20 feet right now? 20, 21?
Yeah, about 20, 21. I see that wind, if just depends.
There we go. Look right there. He just barely hit it too.
All right. Looks like a good one.
Boy, he's good too.
All right.
Look at that.
Man,
Ooh, don't
don't lose that fish.
Oh, his jig's about to come out of his mouth.
Don't lose that fish.
Come here. I'll open up, baby.
All right.
Got him on the top jig.
That's the one I was looking for.
Is that not a gutted one, old boy?
Man.
Is that not a gutted one? How you like that?
I like it. I could stand a little bit more of that.
You got a towel, so. Diane says, why do your britches smell so fishy? Well,
I don't know what the cause could be either.
I don't have a towel. When he gets the line weight, do you put any importance on that? Let's say 4 pound to 8 pound or 10 pound?
Yeah, I tell you what, I use light line, especially in the summertime, real light. Of course, when the water's colored in the spring, you know, you can.
If you had 1 pound test, if you had 1 pound test line to choose, what weight would it be?
I use 8 pound more than I do anything. I like 8 mighty well. Most of the water I fish in 8 works very well. Bill, a minute ago you mentioned the location of the trolling motor and where it's mounted.
Yeah.
With it mounted on the side, I can pull the boat sideways through the water and pull the lines that extend out the other side. Notice I said the word pull. This lets me control not only the direction and speed of the lures, but depending on the wind and current direction, I can use the trolling motor for either steering or propelling.
All right, wait a minute. Let me ask you. Since crappie are most active at a certain depth level, boat direction, without a doubt, has got to be extremely critical.
Hey, there ain't no doubt about it. It's imperative that you maintain an exact contour depth.
What you're saying is that your graph and your trolling motor work hand in hand in this situation. When crappie are active at a certain depth location, you've got to keep your bait at that exact level.
That's exactly right.
And by watching your LCG and working your trolling motor, you'll be able to follow that exact contour line and depth by pulling your boat sideways. Example, let's say the fish were at a depth of 17 feet. That's the depth pattern path you will follow.
That's it. Bill, I know you know this, but for anyone that might be interested, I can't begin to tell you how important it is to maintain that exact contour depth.
Just maintaining that exact contour depth. I know it. I know it's important.
Yeah, you have to do it to catch these fish consistently.
That makes a lot of sense. Another advantage to pulling sideways is that you're covering twice as much water.
That's exactly what. Hey, look at here. Here's one.
Another one. Boy,
It's
nothing
fish.
better than cold water crappie. Is it?
Man, I tell you what, it's fun.
Nothing better to eat. Ooh, ooh, yeah.
Come here, boy. Come here, little man. Come up here. All right. I'll take a few more like that.
I would every day of the week.
I'll take a few more like that. You want to handle this one?
Do I?
Thanks.
Another one?
I appreciate that.
You were saying something else about pulling sideways.
Yeah. You mentioned that pulling allowed you to cover twice as much water. That's exactly right. And that's why I put the trolling motor on this side and I pull the rods out the other side. By operating the boat from the bow or the stern, the coverage area with 2 or even 3 rods will be no more than 7 to 10 feet. But by operating the boat from the side, the coverage is practically double, using either 2 or 3 rods.
Okay, your boat now is 16 feet long, and by placing a rod tip out of the back, the coverage area now is up to 19 feet.
Yeah, and by placing one out the bow 3 foot, the coverage is increased to 22.
So what you're doing, you're really covering 22 feet on every pass.
That's
Opposed to 7 to 10 feet if you were pulling with the trolling motor on the bow of the stern.
That's exactly right.
There he is. You got to be quick.
You sure have. That's a pretty quick jerk there, my boy.
Look at this buster right here, boy.
Very good, very good. What you got there?
I got a new.
Oh, my goodness.
Easy.
Need some help?
No. No.
Man,
Good, Hank.
I don't know how you
That's
did that, but I'd like to do it again.
My gosh, I like that.
Felt good, didn't it?
Yeah. Well, for all practical purposes, all your technique amounts to is, I guess you could say, just force feeding crappie.
You can say that again.
Okay. For all practical purposes, all your technique amounts to is to, no, seriously. You know, in fishing this way, it's important to recognize that the fish will always be facing into the wind. Which way the wind blows, or how deep the fish are, well, it's really immaterial. They still always face into the wind. Thus, this style of fishing allows the lures to be pulled right into the face of the crappie.
Naturally, the only time they'll change from this direction is when the current is present and it's stronger than the wind. In this case, they'll position themselves to face the current.
They're always going to face the strongest current, whether it be wind or a natural current made by water being pulled over a dam or something further downstream.
They'll definitely do that.
You believe an attractor really works?
I definitely do. Yeah.
Putting odor on your jig?
Hey, it does. It worked on this one.
Boy, you can see them so deep down there when they come up. That's a heavy fish. Of course, they look bigger in the water anyway.
Yeah, that's a nice fish there. Good fish.
Well, he won't jump up there, did he?
Come
You're
here,
getting kind of old, that bending over, ain't you?
Oh, I'm too old to do this, I'll tell you. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit
Hope I
old.
never get that old.
Don't you say nothing about anybody.
Place him upon my
For
thumb.
getting old, I'll tell you that.
Place that little.
I'm a
Ruby
spring
duck.
chicken beside of you. I guess.
You what?
Spring chicken beside of you, I guess.
Have you ever heard of Speedo Billy?
Speedo.
Huh?
Not
I'm
yet.
quicker. I tell you what. I'm quicker than a minnow jumping a dipper.
Quicker?
You know how fast the light in an icebox comes on?
No.
You open the door and look.
Well, every time I catch one, I let the boat get sideways.
Don't worry about it.
But I
I think
quickly
you're doing a great job.
straighten it back out, you'll notice.
You're doing all right. No complaints.
All right.
You know something? You know, I've told a lot of people, and they probably won't believe this, what I'm fixing to say, but I have no reason, and I can prove it, that crappie are a fish of all seasons. You can catch crappie on Pickwick Lake and Bay Springs Lake in the Tom Bigby Waterway, and I'll say this and give you my honest word when I say it. I've never met anybody that could catch fish like you consistently 12 months of the year, summer, fall, winter, spring. You and I have caught them when the water temperature was 40 to 39, almost 40 degrees. We've caught them when the water temperature was 84 degrees. We've caught them 12 months of the year under the most adverse conditions. And what surprises me, you know, even when we got that muddy water, we were catching fish 27 to 28 feet. You couldn't see that deep. Ain't that right?
Yeah. It's unbelievable how they can see a jig. They can see it when you don't think they can.
If you get the right color. And color has, don't you believe in color?
Yeah, color is very important, I think. I'm going to tell you, I use color to my advantage all the time.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. You can say what you want to. That deal right there is handy as a pocket on a shirt as far as establishing what color is most visible.
I'll tell you one thing. You go to a place that you're not familiar with, that you don't fish every day, you'd waste a lot of time trying to figure out a color that they might hit when you can take that unit you got.
Yeah.
And just find out instantly with it.
Well, it's showing on the fluorescent band, it's showing chartreuse to red on the other band, and that's what we're fishing, red and chartreuse.
Right rod.
I didn't even see it. I didn't even see it.
So
I'm
they'll
sitting here
snake them
talking.
on you. They will snake a hit on you.
He didn't hit it hard.
What,
I didn't even
you
see
gonna be able
him.
to hold him? Oh.
Get up here, Buster.
Well, there you are doing it again.
Come here, come here, come here, come here.
You think I ought to help you with it?
I can catch it fish. You got a good. You ever had one stick a hook in your finger when he shakes that head?
No more than 27 times. And I didn't like it any better the last time than I did the first time either.
Don't blame you.
That's a pretty fish, Bill.
Goody thing.
Pretty fish. Got a hit.
That didn't take long, did it?
No, it didn't take too long. I kind of like that.
Woo! Come on. Nice.
Good fish, Bill.
Ooh, yeah, look at him.
Good fish. Come up here, boy.
Boy, I could see him down there 2 feet deep in the water.
Oh, come here, boy. You think I'll let him get away?
Would you grab him? Well, I'm telling you, you're supposed to be one of these big-time guides.
Well, I didn't want to get the hook in my hand.
You're going to pass him upon my thumb?
You can have him. I'm through with him.
Is that not nice? He ain't as big as mine, but he's still nice.
Well, I'll get a big one in a minute, maybe.
I'll tell you something. You still continue to amaze me.
Hey, I still continue to amaze myself.
It's been a fun day, and another one I've truly enjoyed, old boy.
That it has, my friend. That it has.
For me to sit here and tell you that I've never failed to catch crappie when fishing with Roger Gant may seem like exaggeration to some fishermen, because never is a pretty strong word. Nevertheless, it's true. Some days were better than others, but all were great. I sure wish I could say that about my bass fishing trips. We'll see you next.
Wait a minute. Let me say that.
This may be your technique, but it's my show, and that's my line.
You get to say it every week.
All right, then say it.
No, I'll end it, and I'll be a little more original than you.
Well, do it.
Ho, ho, ho. We gotta go. See you next week on a brand new show.
The species we're after today knows no season. It can be caught 12 months of the year from 6 inches of water to 60 feet or more, and in any water clarity from spring clear to water as muddy as a hog waller. He'll bite in temperatures from 40 to 90 degrees under adverse conditions with the barometric pressure either high or low, and can be caught in more ways than one would ever imagine. Know what he is? He's a crappie. There's no doubt about it, some of the best crappie fishing of the year occurs just before and after what most crappie fishermen consider the peak of the crappie run. For some odd reason, most anglers never try to determine where the crappie are before the spawn begins, where the crappie go after the spawn ends, and where the crappie are during the spawn if they're not on the bank around cover, such as stick-ups and bushes. During these 3 times of the year, when the crappie are not on the bank and not suspended out over deeper water, they're holding on structure and cover in deep water, which means anglers must usually rely on their graph to locate them if they hope to catch any fish at all. Surprisingly, suspended crappie are a lot more difficult to catch than those relating to some form of structure on the bottom or suspended around it. Now, not to be contradictory, crappie can be in deep water and also be on the bank at the same time around cover and around irregular features. Such a bank is called a bluff, and that's the type terrain we'll be fishing this late winter day. There it is, right on target, my boy. Where are we going with it? Come on around here with it. That little old limber pole. Whoa, boy. Oh, let me just touch it. Come on back here. Come on. I'm gonna jump up there like a bass. Easy. Full of roe too. Fat fish. Thick fish. Going back down. Oh, I like that. Let me tell you something. Late winter is a time when the days become longer and the temperature begins to rise a few degrees, signaling crappie that it's time to start moving from their deep midwinter sanctuaries to their pre-spawn locations. Now, this move can take many different forms depending on the type of lake. On a highland lake, like we're fishing today, it's common for crappie to move to this type structure, the big, massive bluffs. And it's common for them to move in against these walls one day and back out the next to deeper water staging areas, let's say for a day or so, then move back in again the next. This movement will usually last until the water warms up a few degrees. And then they'll move in and they'll hold there, moving only up and down in a vertical nature rather than a horizontal one. When they move horizontally, they naturally are harder to locate, and they're super hard to catch when they're suspended at this time of the year. But when they're in close to the face of the bluff, their only movement is usually vertical. And with the aid of your graph, you'll be able to locate the depth they're using and really bust them fairly consistently. There he is. Yep, another one. Good. Come on back here, Buster. Easy, easy, easy. That big silver, and that pink, and that chartreuse. Goodbye. Let me tell you something. Many game fish display erratic behavior at this time of the year, and they do it for a good reason. Their metabolism rate slows in cold water temperatures. And for all practical purposes, fishing for some of the more popular species, such as, let's say, the bass, the bluegill, really isn't worth the effort most times at this time of the year. But let early spring warm fronts move through, and you'll see them awaken from a long winter's nap just that quick. On the other hand, our pal, the little crappie, brother, let me tell you, he can take cold water as well as a penguin or a seal. Crappie are very structure-oriented fish, especially during the cold months. It's not uncommon, however, to work up and down a bluff of, say, 100 yards or more, only to find the fish in just one area in depth. Irregular features at the correct depth along the bluff, such as a point, a ledge, a submerged treetop, an old stump, will usually be the ticket to finding the concentrations of fish. And it's not uncommon to find a bunch of fish around just one of these irregular features. There he is, right on target. You better get up here. All right, I'm going to turn you loose. I'm just going to turn you loose. Gone. All right, it takes a little bit of time to work down some of these bluffs, but it's important. Slowly stalking these irregular features with your graph and then carefully presenting your bait over them is the key to finding and catching late winter crappie. You know, that just like the old saying, nothing comes easy. Takes a little bit of effort, but it's enjoyable. These fish can be easy to miss because they're not scattered, and their chosen zone to strike a bait is very small. Wise is a fisherman who presents a jig to the fish on its terms. And for this time of the year, I'll tell you firsthand, it needs to be slow. There he is. Oh, boy, boy, boy. Well, if you could look at those sides, just that is a pretty. I like to fill out in the river, in a lake. Come here. Come here. I'm going to turn you loose. You have to act. Is that not nice? Yes. I do mean. Well, you're not hooked that bad. Just right there. Get that lays. Ah, look at him shake. Full row. Not far from it. There we go. Casting light spinning gear is not only a fun and popular technique, but it allows you to parallel the bluff with your cast and retrieve and keeping your lure in a potential strike zone for a much longer time. And by simply counting the jig down to its desired depth, you'll be on target every time. Now this 1/16 ounce jig I'm using will fall approximately 1 foot per second. So by counting 1 and 2 and 3, all the way down to 15, my jig should be at just about the 15-foot depth level. Now in murky or stained water, it's especially important that your bait be very close to the depth that the fish are using. But in clear water, it's not as critical because they can see it better. However, it should be fished within a few feet of the crappie and always above them, since crappie seldom chase a bait that's presented below them. They feed in an upward position, so it's important to keep that jig above them, if at all possible. This little outfit I'm using is tailor-made for this type fishing. The whole rig is light as a feather, and a half-pounder feels like a whale on it. Normally during low-light periods, crappie are going to be found a little bit shallower than when it's extremely bright. Now during bright conditions, when it's real bright like it is now, these fish may move 10 to 15 feet deeper, depending on just how clear the water is. And I've seen them even move deeper than that in extremely clear water. But the shallower, or say the murkier it is, they have a tendency to move up a little bit. There we go. Whoop. And around the boat we go. Come on back around over here. Where you going, little man? Where you going there? You're coming up on my thumbs. Where you going? Come back here. Come here, come here, come here, come here. Not a pretty fish. Well, I can't even bring him in with this little whippy. All right, don't close your mouth on me, man. Look there. What old Uncle Bill did, boys and girls. Isn't that pretty? And I mean thick. Gonna spawn and I'm gonna let you. Is that not nice of me? I'm gonna let you spawn. You pretty sweet thing, you. I mentioned earlier that when crappie move to this type of structure and begin to use it, their movement is primarily one of a vertical nature. They move up and down instead of sideways. One element that will surely cause them to move shallower or deeper and will also cause them to be more or less active is light intensity. This will also have a major influence on what color lure you should use, since sunlight governs the shape, the size, and the color of anything below the surface. Tell you one thing, in cold water, it's very important. The colder that water is, the better these fish want that bait, just slow and steady. And it makes a major difference. They don't want it hopping and jumping. Just a slow, steady retrieve makes all the difference in the world. A lot of times you can work a jig and then just stop it and let it fall a little and they'll hit it. But these fish, there he is, these fish don't want it like that. Now, brother, that right there's got some weight on him. Ooh, come back here, my little pole. Come on back. Okay, easy. Look at there. Little old drum floating by. Look at that. Get out of here. That. Oh, silver, look at that. Isn't that coloration? Bye. There he is. That wasn't steep. That fish hit it at about 11. 12, 11 to 12 feet. Where is he gonna go, boy? Come up, come up, come here. All right. All of them, old females. Oh, calm down. Look at, boom! It goes without saying that late winter crappie fishing has its limitations. Bitter cold winds that'll freeze tears on your cheek and bone-chilling temperatures don't make for the best days. But by picking your days and weather carefully and dressing properly for it, cold weather crappie fishing will be effective and a whole lot more enjoyable. You don't have to wait for the dogwoods to bloom or for 70-degree weather. You don't have to travel to the deep south to make good crappie fishing a reality either. They're out here, they're down there, right there as we talk. They can't get out because that bluff right there and that bank across right over there has got them hemmed in. So, how about it? Get out and give them a try. If you do, I'd be willing to bet that you'll become addicted to wintertime crappie fishing just like me. We'll see you next time.